from your perspective, what kind of shift are you seeing taking place in organizations, and not just within one industry sector, within business as a whole, especially as we go down a globalized path, and the impact it's taking on the role that the contact center has played traditionally and going forward?
Okay. Well, I actually see that the contact center industry has been undergoing an evolution over the past 10 years. And I think that you would ask a lot of the people who run call centers today would still identify that 65 to 75% of calls or transactions coming into a call center are still by telephone. And it's only over the past 2 or 3 years where economic development or economic downturn has caused changes to the way they do business. The influx of Gen Y into the business workforce, who don't really want to use the telephone, they want to communicate by other channels. So the real crux of the matter is that now call centers are being asked to handle multiple channels, multiple paths of information flow. They're also being asked to do more than just transactions. 10 years ago, most call centers were purely transactional, that you either placed an order through them or they solicited you for something. That pretty much was basically it. Now they have evolved to the point where they have very good tools in terms of customer relationship management tools, so that they can identify, sort of your buying patterns, your calling patterns, where they can, in fact, then add a marketing thrust to it that was never there before. So I think the change is starting to pick up speed, and I think the momentum will continue as newer technology drives things forward. The one thing about the call center is that they never really had any trouble adapting to technology. What they did have trouble adapting to was a change of style, a change of management techniques. But when it comes to technology, typically call centers are at the leading edge of being able to adapt very quickly to technology as it's introduced.
Are they, in terms of the technology, and obviously if you look at speech analytics, or you look at knowledge base and click to chat, all of these multiple channels that information and communication is coming into, is it shifting the contact center as not just playing one traditional role in that, okay, you're the communicator to the customer, you're a sales channel. Now are they becoming more of an intelligence and information for the organization as a whole? Are they contributing or driving strategy in any way?
I would suggest that for some organizations that's very true, that they are becoming an intelligence repository, because they are in fact the first line of defense or the first line of contact in a lot of cases with clients. But I would suggest to you that there's still call centers out there who are kept isolated out as islands and that are not brought into the fold. And I think that those types of call centers, if they don't change, and if they don't step up, if they don't become more involved in the business and helping to obtain the strategic objectives of the organization, they'll be outsourced. They'll be annihilated.
So do you think that the channel or the challenge or the opportunity for the leadership team lies in being able to effectively communicate what value they bring to the organization, not only in the short term but in the long term, in driving some of those strategies?
Yeah, I think that one of the key factors is that call centers have always been viewed as a high cost center, and that's because it's been labor intensive. So therefore the message that gets delivered always seems to be around costing versus what value gets delivered. And I think that management in the call center business has to learn to communicate in just a little different fashion. And if I can just sort of illustrate to you that, like, what typically happens in a call center is somebody's an agent for a while and they get good at it and they get promoted to be a supervisor, and then they get good at it and they get promoted to a manager, to a director, etc. And ultimately, a lot of times, the executive that are operating the call centers have come through the ranks. So what they've learned are all the metrics on how to run a very efficient call center. Average hold time, talk time, they know all of these terminologies. But when it gets to delivering that message to an executive inside your organization, and I can think about the number of times I've had people presenting things to me that even though I didn't say it, in the back of my head, I was going, yes, so what? So what does average hold time mean to me? What does average talk time? So what? And so you may be telling me you're running the absolute most efficient call center. My question might be, can we afford it? Do we really need it? And so what? How does that help me with my business? And I think the true message has to be how to speak in the language of the people that you're addressing. How to talk to the CFO of an organization. How to talk to the VP or SVP of marketing. How to talk to the president of the organization in terms of things that are important to them.